UrbanBroadcastMedia.com, Chicago.
And around the world where your voice is heard. This is UBM Talk.
Hi, I'm Harold Arnold, real estate broker. Are you planning to buy or sell a home or another type of real estate in the near future? Join me on my program. First-time buyer, investor, or seller, or you want more information on the status of today's real estate? Let's talk about it Sunday evenings from 8 to 9 p.m. on Urban Broadcast Media.
Welcome. I am Sky Shy Travels, Janice Temple, your host for the Sky Shy Travel Guide, every Travel Tuesday at 1 p.m. on UBM Talk. I was also a flight attendant for 7 years at a regional carrier where I flew across the United States, Canada, and the Bahamas. We are going to talk about flight tales, flying insider secrets, and flying hot topics. Check me out every Tuesday at 1 p.m. on UrbanBroadcastMedia.com.
Join Dee Dee Ozzabor every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. for My Sister Talking, as we discuss the issues and disparities of women in recovery. Plug in to hear about different experiences and success stories from people who have overcome the challenges of reconnecting with society, family, friends, and have repaved their path. Heal your own heart and spirit by joining the conversation with My Sister Talking every Wednesday at 6 p.m. right here on UBM Talk.
Doesn't it seem like our society is dominated by social media, gang violence, and a failing economy? Our family structures are deteriorating. Enrichment Parent and Child Center's mission is to provide a safe environment for at-risk families. Our enrichment and empowerment seminars focus on life and parenting skills. Knowledge is power. When you know better, you do better. Visit our website, www.enrichmentpcc.org. Click Donate to join the movement.
Hello, this is Leon Finney, your host of Another Perspective on UrbanBroadcastMedia.com. We are the voice of Black America. Join me and my guests every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. as we discuss the issues that impact Black America. Tune in to UBM Talk on UrbanBroadcastMedia.com, the simulcast on our affiliate station WBON 1690 AM. That's Another Perspective every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. And you can run and tell that.
The following show is paid programming and does not necessarily express the views and opinions of Urban Broadcast Media and its subsidiaries.
Thank you for listening to UBM Talk.
Hey everybody, it is Dr. Shanika Williams here, and you have joined the Diva MD Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm always excited to have you guys every week. You guys make my week. I promise you do. Hello to all my divas, and hello to all my fellas that have joined us today, because I know you guys got had some interesting questions to ask this week, and I can't wait to delve into that. But this is the Diva MD Show, and if you don't know already, the Diva stands for Discovering Your Inner Most Valuable Assets, and mine is the God in me. What is your most valuable asset? What is what drives you? What keeps you going? I definitely want to make sure that I inspire you, that I empower you, and keep you guys motivated to do some great things in your life. You know what? It's always something that I see that always inspires me. You guys know that I can look in a cloud and see something inspiring about it. So I was actually reading on the back of a soap bottle, interestingly enough. And on the back of the soap bottle, there is a quote that, just really stood out to me. It said, "A small mind will decay." And that almost blew my mind, because it's so true in the literal sense, and it's so true in even just the spiritual and the intellectual and, that type sense. And, I just wanted to encourage you guys to dream big. Make sure that there's nothing, absolutely nothing that God cannot do in your life. There is nothing too small. There is nothing too big that he can do. Okay. So a small mind will decay. And that is true in the literal sense, in the physical sense, because, if you look at a mind of a person who has dementia, it is what's called atrophied. It is small. It has shrunk. Right? So you need to make sure that your mind, that everything that you say, think, speak, dream is big, right? Follow your dreams. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I just wanted to give you guys that little bit of encouragement, because that encouraged me. I want to welcome, I'm so happy to have her here with me today. She is one of my best friends and a fellow colleague. This is Dr. Maya Green. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. Yay. I'm so excited to have you here. She is a family practice physician, just like myself. However, she has some special training. She has some training in HIV. Dr. Green, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. As she said before, my name is Maya Green. I'm a family medicine doctor. I did a specialty in HIV. Currently, I'm providing care at the Ruth M. Rosling Core Center. That's 2020 West Harrison. And enjoying my time there, enjoying the experiences we have. Later, I believe we'll get into it. We recently started an organization called HIV Real Talk, and we collaborate with communities and community leaders to increase awareness, education, prevention, and testing, and do testing in high-risk communities. And I'm happy to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Dr. Green is doing some big things, and she's very active in the community. That's what I love about her as a friend. You know, we can get out there, we can get in the trenches, and we can definitely try and support our community. So can you please tell us, today I really want to spend this time and kind of debunk some of the myths of HIV and AIDS.
So let's do it.
Let's get into it. So some people might say, you know what, I was just diagnosed with HIV, and you know what, I feel like it's a death sentence.
Yes, that's one of the more common myths about HIV. Being diagnosed is not a death sentence. What it is an opportunity for us to engage in care, develop support systems, and galvanize the resources we need to treat HIV, approach it from a community standpoint. And if you're out there and you're recently diagnosed, call your doctor, get in care. Earlier treatment have better outcomes.
Absolutely.
So it's not a death sentence. That's one of the myths.
Absolutely. That you know what, you bring up an absolutely great point. HIV is not a death sentence. And, let's go ahead and introduce, you brought some friends with you today who can definitely attest to that, right?
Absolutely. I have a very lovely couple, and they're so in tune with each other. I'm actually wondering if you guys can introduce each other. Let's do that.
Sure. So let me start by introducing my lovely wife, Kathy Jacobs McLeod. We've been married 10 years now. We recently celebrated our 10th anniversary. Kathy is a registered nurse, but she's also very involved in HIV services at the Core Center. She runs a couple of different projects there, but I'll let her tell you more about those projects.
Absolutely. Welcome, Kathy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Okay, so I'll introduce my lovely husband, Peter McLeod, who also works at the Core Center with me, and he is the coordinator, Policy Advocacy Department. And I will let him explain more about that.
Thank you so much, Peter, for coming and joining us today to discuss this very important topic about HIV/AIDS. So tell us a little bit more about why you're so passionate about this topic.
Well, it wasn't something, that I thought that I would, at this point in my life, be dealing with. Mm-hmm. It's a very personal subject to me because in 1997, I became very ill. I went and had an HIV test, found out that I was HIV positive. Within a week of getting that HIV diagnosis, I was hospitalized at Cook County Hospital. I was very ill. I found out I had been living with HIV for over a decade without knowing it. And it was really a turning point in my life. I think I realized for some time that I was at risk for HIV because when I was a young man, I started using drugs, and I was an intravenous drug user, so I was shooting heroin and cocaine. And I knew a little bit about that being, putting me at risk for HIV. I was so shocked when I found out I was HIV positive and had progressed to AIDS. That was something that I wasn't expecting. But once I found out and I got stabilized and started treatment, I became very motivated to become more involved in HIV, doing some of the things about dispelling myths that Dr. Green talked about. and really encouraging other people who were living with the disease that it wasn't a death sentence, and that they could take steps to live a healthy life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Dr. Green, he made a mention about, he was HIV positive and then he progressed to AIDS. What's the difference between the two?
So we know that HIV is a virus that essentially attacks your immune system. And there's a time period from the time HIV enters your body and begins to attack your immune system to the time the immune system actually goes down to a point where other things can come in, other infections like another bacteria, another fungus can come in and kind of do serious damage to your body.
Sure.
The medical cutoff would be a CD4 or a defense cells with a number 200. We say your immune system, the number is 200. When what we call normal will be, for example, 600 to 1,000. Or if you get one of those other opportunistic infections that normally don't affect people with a strong immune system, like a bacteria or fungus.
Sure.
You want to help me, Peter?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that, the virus attacks your immune system. So infections that a healthy person would fight off without any problem, or, just take them a couple of days for the immune system to kick in and deal with that bacterial or whatever infection it was. For a person living with HIV, and especially when they've progressed to AIDS, an infection like that can be devastating.
Sure. Absolutely. So, Miss Kathy, when your husband was diagnosed, how did that impact your life?
Well, actually, I didn't know Peter when he was originally diagnosed.
Gotcha.
So when we started working together, we became really good friends. I knew that he was positive. And being a nurse, I knew what precautions to take if I wanted to start a relationship with him.
Sure.
And I did. So we had a discussion. We talked about the differences, what to expect, what not to expect. The stigma surrounding HIV. And I made a conscious decision that this is the person that I wanted to be with regardless of his diagnosis.
Nice.
So we are a couple and we celebrate our 10 years in spite of HIV.
Very nice.
And AIDS, because it doesn't define who we are.
God bless you.
So I look at it like that. I mean, I don't think we're any different than anyone else. There are some precautions, of course, that we take. But my goal is to make sure that he is healthy.
Sure.
So I make sure that his medications are done and he takes them on time, that he eats correctly and exercises. So that's probably the only thing. And I don't think that's even different from other couples, really. So
Absolutely.
I don't think about HIV and AIDS. I just want to make sure that he's healthy and we have a great relationship. We have our ups and downs like anybody else.
Right. Now, Dr. Green, Kathy brings up a good point about, precautions that, they can take as a couple. And one of the myths is, hey, I can get HIV just through casual contact or kissing. So what are your thoughts on that?
So there are absolutely no reports on people getting HIV from casual contact, kissing, hugging, spending time with your loved ones, spending time with your significant others. HIV is spread when the virus hits the bloodstream. So IV drug use, I think Mr. McLeod brought up earlier. Sexual contact. And sexual contact because during sexual contact, there's friction and tears that can cause openings in the body, things like that. That's how you get HIV. You don't get it from everyday life, interacting, hugging your loved ones, letting your brother or sister hold their niece or nephew. You don't get it from that. Washing dishes, using the bathroom. Those are common myths that people have. You do not get it from that.
Sure.
So I want to encourage all those families living with someone who is HIV positive to live.
Absolutely.
And stop causing a situation where they're just existing.
That definitely makes a difference. And as we're talking about families, there are families who actually discriminate against people who are diagnosed as HIV positive and have told them that, they're HIV positive in hopes of, possibly gaining support during that time. So what are your thoughts on families who discriminate against other family members who are HIV positive?
Yeah, when I first found out I was HIV positive and I was attending support groups at the hospital, at Cook County Hospital, and I had my peers talk about situations that was happening in their families where their families would bring them disposable plates and disposable forks and didn't want them to eat at the table and things like that. I was pretty horrified because I don't have that type of family. I was able to reach out to my mom and my brothers and sisters and my children and tell them, this is what's happening with me. And they wrapped their arms around me and said, it doesn't matter. We love you regardless. And so, but that's the reality. That was the reality in 1997, and that's still a reality today. And so, one of the things that I really try to focus on is education and supporting those individuals who suffer from that type of discrimination, even from their own families, as well as trying to talk to people about, you don't have to do that.
Right. So what words of encouragement do you give people who you may mentor or, someone you may talk to that is HIV positive and is being ostracized by their family? What type of advice do you give them?
Yeah, that if you can't get the support that you need and that you deserve in your family, go to a support group. For people living with HIV, we have support groups at the Core Center. Talk to your doctor, and you have a case manager or a social worker or someone like that to find out additional resources and opportunities and places where you can go. But really to surround yourself with people who are going to be supportive and not make you feel bad about just having a disease.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you guys are just tuning in, you have tuned into the Diva MD Show. This is Dr. Shanika Williams here, and I am joined with some very special guests today, Dr. Maya Green, family practice physicianer who is an HIV specialist, and she brought a wonderful couple with us, Peter and Kathy, who are sharing their story on how Peter was diagnosed with HIV and his wife is not HIV positive and the impact it has had on their lives. So let's get back a little bit to some of these myths that we were talking about. And also, if you guys are interested in calling in, you can call us at 312-754-4333. Debunking some of these myths. Let's talk about that sexual contact we were talking about. Some people believe that you can't get HIV from oral sex, only from vaginal sex or men having sex with men sex.
So sexual activity is something where HIV can be passed, and it's almost a graded system where the oral sex is the act where you're least likely to get HIV, but we still recommend condom use.
Sure.
Because again, HIV passes through open surfaces in the body. If there are open surfaces in the mouth, if there's an open surface on the body,
sure,
then certainly there's a possibility. It is true that oral sex is the activity that has the least likelihood of transmission, and then there's vaginal sex, and then there's men who have sex with men. Sometimes you can transmit HIV that way. So it is possible. We recommend condom use with all activity. I always tell my patients, if you can brush your teeth and spit in the sink and you can see blood, that's an open surface in your mouth.
Absolutely.
So we can't guarantee that HIV will or won't pass through that open surface.
And, since we're talking about, and since we mentioned men having sex with men, some people also just believe that HIV only affects, it's the gay man disease, and I'm throwing up air quotes right now, or simply for IV drug users. So I do understand, Mr. Peter, you were an IV drug user in the past, and that's how you contracted HIV, or possibly you were higher risk because you used IV drugs. However, clearly it's running rampant in our society. It's running rampant in our communities. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that myth?
Yes, absolutely. That is a myth. As a matter of fact, HIV transmission amongst IV drug users actually dropped about 5% over the past year. And that's through our clean needle exchange programs in Illinois. So we're happy about that. That's one of the ways, and awareness. 86% of women who get HIV get it from their heterosexual male partner.
Say that again.
86 or 87% of women who get HIV get it through their heterosexual male partners. And I think that myth pretty much exists because people like to think of HIV as, or any illness, as something that happens to other people. Like, it's not at my door. It's not in my front door. It doesn't apply to me. And so it makes them feel safe.
Right.
To think that's over there happening to other people. And so thank you for bringing that up, because I think it helps to dispel that myth and increase awareness that we all, myself included, we all need to be aware, and we all need to protect ourselves, and we all need to decrease stigma, and we all need to look at it. It's at your front door. Open the door, face it, deal with it so we can get through it.
Absolutely. So how do people protect themselves from HIV? There are some, this is another myth that we need to debunk, is that if a person is already diagnosed with HIV and they are on antiretroviral therapy, that they cannot transmit the disease to their partner. Is that true or not true?
So a lot of people ask me, like, if I've already been diagnosed with HIV and I'm taking my medicines, and antiretroviral medicine, they're essentially medicines to kind of stop the virus from flourishing in your body. So and they're like, if I'm taking medicines and someone else has HIV and they're taking medicines, we don't need to use protection. We don't need to use condoms, but we absolutely advocate that, because one of the reasons we don't have a cure for HIV is because HIV can be a very reckless virus. It mutates or changes its composition so fast that we can't even come up with a standard cure to catch the makeup of HIV and stick it in a stage. So if the virus is changing itself so fast in me, if I'm positive, and changing itself so fast in my partner, if they're positive, then there's a chance that if we're not protected, we can transmit a reckless, what we call mutant virus, to each other. And then essentially that person has two different viruses, which only one of the medications may work for. So no, if you're positive and your partner is positive, you absolutely need to use condoms with oral, anal, and vaginal sex.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, just to sum that up, so if one person has one strain, the other individual can have another strain. Absolutely. And if they have unprotected sex, they can pass each other's strains to the other.
Yes.
And the medication that you were taking before no longer works because now you have a different strain.
Absolutely. And we don't want to forget, just because someone has been diagnosed with HIV doesn't mean, just because I've been diagnosed with HIV does not mean that I can't get another strain of HIV. It doesn't mean that I can't get syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, any of those other things. So, we don't want to go through life believing a fantasy. Everybody loves a fantasy. I don't want to think the person I'm with has anything. It applies to the other.
Right.
But it's time for us to come out the fantasy and deal with reality. And that's why I'm glad you guys are here today, Kathy.
You know what? I'm very glad that, Peter and Kathy are here as well. And Kathy, I did want to ask you, did you have anything that you wanted to relate to other individuals who may be in love with someone who has HIV? What type of encouraging words do you have for them to, kind of stay the course, fight the fight, the whole nine?
I think the first thing that I would say is to educate themselves, both of them. And let's just face it, people love being in love. People love having relationships with each other.
Right.
But people have to know they have to protect each other. The male have to protect the woman should be able to protect the male.
Sure.
We have no control over who we fall in love with. But if one person is negative, the other person is positive, that has to be a conversation of how they're going to protect each other. And they have to wear condoms all the time. There's never a time really that you can't wear it. So you have to keep that in the back of your mind. This is all about protecting each other.
Right.
And love who you want to love. I think I was talking to Maya earlier how we need to step out the box sometimes and just trust our instincts. There are good people with HIV. There are good people who are not positive. And sometimes we miss each other.
Right.
Because we're not trusting each other enough. We're not trusting each other enough to talk to. Before I met Peter and even had a relationship with Peter, I went and asked him a personal question about condom wearing and how people should protect themselves. Because it was on my mind. I was thinking out the box, but I did want to educate myself more. I think sometimes we forget that, and it no fault for someone else. They may not know. If you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
So you just need to educate yourself all the time. Trust in your instincts and just keep communication open.
Absolutely. That's a very good thought, and I appreciate it here right now. And we talked about love and relationships, but let's talk about, just life in general and your career. Are there any type of limitations that you have in your workforce because you're HIV positive? Is that something that you have to disclose to your employer? What are the rules and regulations?
No. I think, pretty much across the United States, there are laws to protect the privacy of people living with HIV in the workforce and discrimination laws and things of that nature. Do sometimes people get discriminated against because of their HIV status or get fired or be at risk for things like that? Of course. For me personally, because I consider myself an HIV advocate and I've been very open about my HIV status both publicly and in the workforce, I have never had any of those challenges at work. I think that the bigger challenges is, the fact that even though I am very healthy, sometimes I have days where we call it just like HIV fatigue, and, and it just feels a little overwhelming.
Sure.
Having to take the pills all the time and still wanting to work every day and leading an active life and trying to keep Kathy happy. So, but in hindsight, don't you feel like that sometimes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yes.
So, you have to get into the habit of keeping everything in perspective, that, you can't, connect all your fatigue or you're feeling tired necessarily to the HIV. Could be just because you live an active life, and that's what we all want to do.
Right. It's very important that we live an active life. Dr. Green, how do people get tested and how often should they be tested?
Well, I personally recommend that if you're in the Chicagoland and if you're active, meaning sexually active and IV drug user, I recommend at least yearly testing. But if you have any what we call high-risk behaviors, like you're an IV drug user, you have a partner that's HIV positive, we recommend that you test every 6 months.
Or multiple sex partners.
Partners every 6 months. And that is because if you're diagnosed early in the progression of HIV and you enter into care and stay in care, I think Mr. McLeod brought up, times where you don't want to take the medicines, good days, bad days. If you stick it through, studies show that you will have a better outcome and better quality of life. So we do encourage that. And we also encourage getting tested if you're no matter who your partner is, know your partner status, know your status, know your partner status. And I encourage seeing your partner status. It's a lot different from thinking your partner status.
Go to the doctor together, bottom line, or see the paperwork once you get home. Absolutely. So if we have not learned anything else today, we want to know our status. We want to have open and honest conversations with our partners, making sure that we get tested on a regular basis, making sure that we stay protected sex. We've debunked a million myths, right? So thank you guys so much for joining me, Peter and Kathy and Dr. Green. I am elated to have you guys here. Dr. Green, where can they find you?
At the Ruth M. Rothstein Core Center, 2020 West Harrison.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. And coming up next, we have the Divas Lounge, and we also have a special Pay It Forward 4th Friday. So that's very exciting. I'm excited about that as well. So please don't move, and we'll be right back.
I'm a diva.
Doesn't it seem like our society is dominated by social media, gang violence, and a failing economy? Our family structures are deteriorating. Enrichment Parent and Child Center's mission is to provide a safe environment for at-risk families. Our enrichment and empowerment seminars focus on life and parenting skills. Knowledge is power. When you know better, you do better. Visit our website, www.enrichmentpcc.org. Click Donate to join the movement.
Hey, Tanya, I need to get this report from you. You look upset.
Yeah, I just got a call from the school. My son is sick. Now I have to take off from work and to the doctor's office. It's so frustrating because we sit there for hours without being seen.
Sorry to hear that. You should consider Divine MD Concierge Services. They have physicians to come to your own home at your own convenience. I always get the VIP service.
Really?
Yes, and as stressed as you look, you could sure take advantage of their mobile spa services too.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yes, girl, they have licensed professionals to do massage therapy, facials, and waxing, all in the comfort of your own home.
Meaning they'll travel to me? Oh, I need that number right now.
Their number is easy, 866-8-DIVINE or 866-834-8463. Or even check out their website, www.divinemdconcierge.com.
Thank you so much. I'm going to call them right now and make an appointment for today.
Now about those reports.
Tune in to City Life on UBM Talk, representing urban life, our city, our people, one love, with commentary by Nina D and CJ, your pathway to insight, awareness, and unity. The heart of City Life. Tune in Thursdays 8 to 9 on UBM Talk. That's City Life, Thursdays 8 to 9 on UBM Talk. Let's get it.
Urban Broadcast Media, proudly broadcasting from studios located in the Bronzeville community in the city of Chicago. Heard around the world at urbanbroadcastmedia.com. UBM Talk, servicing the community and beyond.
Hey, it is the Diva MD Show. It's Dr. Shanika Williams here, and welcome back to Diva's Lounge. Guys, you guys know this is one of my favorite parts of the show where we get to relax and let our hair down. Ladies are here. Oh my God, my girls are here. I love it when they come every time. We get to chit chat and shoot the breeze. But before we do that, Diva MD Show likes to recognize, if you haven't gotten our newsletters yet, you definitely need to get it. We like to recognize nonprofit organizations who are doing great things in the community. And a few weeks back in our newsletter, we highlighted the Peace Exchange. It's a Chicago Asian 2013 community-based organization that is focused on young adult efforts towards anti-violence, and I absolutely love it. I have with me FM Supreme. Hey, lady.
Hello, how's it going? Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, I'm so excited to have you here. You are doing big things in this city. Everybody loves you. You are an activist in your own right, so I definitely wanted to get you down here so you could talk a little bit about your organization and things that you have going on. Please, shoot.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. Dr. Williams, like she said, my name is FM Supreme. I go by, my other name is actually Jessica D, so I'm a youth peace activist, born and raised in Chicago. In 2012, I launched the Chicago International Youth Peace Movement, and pretty much it's a coalition of artists who are coming together to create positive music. My bad, I wasn't in the microphone. Hope y'all heard me. Basically, in 2012, I started the Chicago International Youth Peace Movement, which is a coalition of artists that come together to make positive music to help, influence like a culture of peace and help. Not that it necessarily decrease crime in Chicago, but I do believe that music and art has the power to transform societies, and that a lot of this music that's out here from Chicago, this Chirac drill music, is it's a truthful music because it mirrors some experiences that is happening, but it's also, I believe, a soundtrack to death. So, I had this vision. I just ran with it. We launched in Chicago, and then we were blessed to take it to the United Kingdom and in Leeds. We screened our No Turning Back music video, and I was blessed to speak on a panel and speak about youth violence in Chicago for members of the British Parliament. And then this year, we wrapped up this other project I co-founded called the Peace Exchange, in which we partner with community organizations to choose 6 youth peace leaders from Chicago South and West Sides to, study different forms of violence and different peace leaders. And then we took a 3-week trip to Southeast Asia to learn how they practice peace in their society.
Tell us about your experience there. What did you discover?
Oh, wow. It was very different, very different. But one thing I sensed was the sense of community. You know what I'm saying? Like in Myanmar, these people didn't really, they didn't have the same resources that we have. Like just being, we could be American poverty. Like this is the richest country in the world. Period. So like even our poor is in a better place than other people's poor, and just to see how they, still shared most of everything they have. And like the reason why we chose to even go to Myanmar and Thailand was because even though it's a lot of poverty, especially in Myanmar, the level of interpersonal violence is really low. Like, there's like, systemic violence there from like the military was under dictatorship, and the Buddhist monks today, still radical Buddhist monks are killing Muslims. So there's that, religious conflict. But when we was over there, we was in Buddhist monasteries, and it was Christians in there and Muslims in there, and they, and Myanmar was closed off from the West for like over 50 years. So we were some of the first Americans, and to see like Black Americans, he was just like, "Is you real?" They didn't say that, but that's how like the kids.
They wanted
crazy.
to touch your hair.
Oh, definitely. And then it's like I had braids, like the box braids, and they all thought it was real. It's like, "Is that your hair?" Like grown people and kids. And I'm like, they probably have never seen a Black woman before. But like, because in America it is, and it was like, oh, too. So I'm like, this ain't nothing but everybody, But it was humbling.
Sure,
it was very humbling.
Sure. So where can everyone find you to support your cause?
Well, for that, for the Peace Exchange, you can go to ChicagoYouthPeace.org to learn more about that project. One of our community partners was Free Spirit Media, so we actually did a documentary and we filmed the 15 days and really condensed it into a 13-minute documentary that we took into schools and organizations, showed it to over 1,000 youth, and with the curriculum, and really sharing the lessons that we learned, that like peace is a practice. Absolutely. Like it's a discipline that you have to be it, and it's gonna be person to person, but it's from inside out. And we don't talk enough to our kids in our society too about how to deal with our anger.
Right.
We all get angry.
Yes.
We all had those moments, but if you're not even taught how to deal with your anger, and then we're living in a time where it's like no lacking. What I'm saying? Like, and now to deal with our anger, we shoot, and but it's so many different forms of violence, like domestic violence. Like one of my good friends from Florida, her good friend was just found in the trunk of her boyfriend's car.
My God.
So it's like, and violence against women is the most prevalent form of violence, period. So it's just like, there's no way you can talk about gun violence or any other form of violence without talking about violence against women, which is not really reported, which is not even really equated because of this patriarchal society that we live in.
So Jessica, I'm gonna have you back on because we have some good conversations to be had. Absolutely. So at this point, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to highlight you, and I want you to tell us where we can find you.
You can find me at fmsupreme.com. And at FM Supreme on Twitter, FM Supreme on Instagram.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I would definitely. Hey, are you going to stay? I want you to stick around for the next segment.
I don't know if I should. But sure, I'll stay.
All right. So welcome, everybody, to the Divas MD Lounge. If you guys did not tune in last week, we had some very interesting conversation with men who had some women who had questions for men, and they answered them, boy, I tell you. So we flipped the script. We actually have some ladies in the studio tonight, and we're going to take some questions that men asked and related to the women. So let's go. You guys ready? I want to introduce my guest tonight. I have Maya Green with me, my homegirl from way back.
Yay, hello.
She is back on the scene. We have FM Supreme. Hey.
What's up? I'm back.
And we have my girlfriend, Connie Boatman.
Hi, guys.
She is back as well. So let's get into some of these questions. Okay, guys, I'm just going to tell you right now, don't shoot the messenger. I am just asking the questions, okay? Y'all ain't promised. Y'all got to tell me.
Crickets.
Y'all got to talk.
Crickets.
I'm the messenger. Shoot. Okay. So let me ask you guys this. Do you think, okay, this is the guys talking, okay? Do you think we believe you if you say you are celibate?
Wow, interesting. Well, honestly, I think it would depend on who's saying it. You know, that's a matter of character. Am I right or wrong?
That's true.
So, you know, I think that it should only follow the premise that if this person, you know, has an upstanding character and you have no reason to question, you know, what they're proclaiming, then why do it? You know, but obviously if there's an individual that, you know, they're telling, you know, a lie every time you turn a corner.
Like they
then,
breathe. Like you breathe.
So, yeah. That speaks to character.
All right. So do you feel that if you have your relationship with your dad actually plays a role in how you view men?
I think every experience plays a role in how you view anything in your world. So, I mean, if they're specifically asking if people or women who grew up with a negative relationship or absent relationship with their father view men differently, I don't necessarily think so, and that may cause them to seek even more to have make sure they don't develop relationships with men who are going to be absent fathers or going to create a negative situation, or they may go with that learned behavior and repeat that learned behavior over again. So yes, but not necessarily in a negative way.
It depends on the person.
How you deal with it.
I was just going to say, I definitely think it depends on the person. Like, for me, for an example, like, my father's Nigerian. So I actually wasn't raised with my dad at all. And then when he became into my life when I was, like, 19 years old. And then, like, you know, I, like, wore a dress or something to some, like, African function or something. It was cool. And he's just like, you know, you're beautiful. But it was like, I knew that already. So, like, I didn't need him to tell me that. It was like, thanks. But whereas there's some, you know, young women who like needed that back then, so they sleep with so many different guys to get that validation. So,
so speaking of women with sleeping with so many guys, let's go to the men who have cheated multiple times. Why in the heck do women stay?
Hope. Sometimes.
Hope,
I think that
wishing
there's a number. Oh my gosh! Security. Wow, what a question. I think that there's a number of reasons that women stay. Sometimes it's hope. Sometimes it's women believe, right, that they can change an individual, that if they just have enough love for the both of them, that things are going to get better. Sometimes that leads to, I think that speaks to a person's security factor too, where you stand with yourself, and I think that it's up to an individual to learn, right, what their boundaries are. It's all about boundaries, in my opinion, and being able to, because no one's perfect, and we do understand that people make mistakes. We're only human, but the long and short is, what will you tolerate? How much will you tolerate?
What's that breaking point?
What
for
is
you?
it? Yeah. What's the last straw? Is there a last straw?
Right. So sometimes we never get there. It's unfortunate. Sometimes we never get there. Sometimes we do. And sometimes he gets there, interestingly enough. Sometimes it's far few and in between. But I'm just saying. Look, let's be real. Let's stop selling them hope dreams.
Don't sell them dreams.
Stop selling them dreams. Do you guys like a man that is sensitive or kind of hardcore, emotionless, or a little bit of both?
Dr. Green. I defer.
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that I may incriminate myself.
Love it.
I think definitely in the middle, not too soft, not too hard, just real. Real with, like, you want to cry. If you angry, be angry, but just be real.
A lot of women, or at least I hear a lot of guys say, yeah, women just, you want a soft guy, but when you get a soft guy, you run over him, you take advantage of him, and then you always want to go after the bad boy, but then when the bad boy, what is it? Like, what do women really want?
Again, I think that speaks to a person's character. And of course, I'm not talking about myself personally, But
you talking about your friend? Okay. What happened to your friend?
Well, my friend had told me.
Okay.
No, it's really just a matter of, you know, who you are. I think it's about that balance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think, you know, sometimes you have women who have, especially in this day and age, very strong characters.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of humbling themselves, surrendering authority to someone else and allowing that man to play the position that a man should play in a relationship becomes challenging because, and to be honest, men oftentimes don't know their position and women nowadays don't know their positions. And so that, I think the fact that they're undefined in who they should be and who what the role should be. I mean, I'm old school. And I'm young, but I come from an old school.
Because I'm waiting till you finish.
I'm young, but I come from an old school type of back. And when I say your roles, I just personally believe that, you know, there is a hierarchy when it comes to the family structure, you know, and I do believe that, you know, the husband and wife are 50-50, so on and so forth, but the man should be strong enough to play his position. And I mean, we can get into all type of things when it comes to that, and then the woman should play her position as well. But it's a matter of respect, you know, that mutual respect. You can respect a person for being who they are, you know.
Exactly. So something you said about positions and hierarchy, I think that couples should be free to choose what position, what roles they want to take. And if they have those roles preset for them, it's okay if they choose to accept those roles that are preset for them. But I think in this day and age, you definitely don't have to. And I know people are a lot happier if they choose their own roles, what roles they want to play. For example, it's common for people to think a man should work to provide for his household and be able to afford, you know, money for the kids, transportation, the wife, everything like that. And now we have a lot of households where the woman is the breadwinner and the father is staying at home. They're happy, you know, and I don't necessarily feel like those roles are misstepped. The world is the world they create, not a world that's created for them and told to them how they should be, unless they want to accept that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And to piggyback off of that, you know, you have to go with your strengths and go with your weaknesses.
True that.
You know, it's like, you know, the long and short of it. You know, hey Oprah, you know, if I had a situation, a financial situation where the husband could just, you know, support me in what I'm doing, then hey, that's fine. But I think that sometimes, you know, you can emasculate a man too because of, you know, I think sometimes women make the mistake of doing that. And that's what I mean more than anything, Maya.
Okay.
You know.
That's actually one of the questions, and I think you guys pretty much answered it. Are you willing to follow a man's lead even though you are, quote unquote, independent and self-sufficient? You guys pretty much.
I just wanted to I just wanted to say, like,
no, thank you.
You know, I know, you know, I'm a strong woman or whatever. So like, I'm willing to submit to a man, but he has to be a particular type of man. First of all, he has to be a man of the Lord. That's the standard, you know, like, you know, we can date around or whatever, but not even. Like I'm really big on that, just with my experiences. It's just like you kind of learn things. Like Einstein said that something about insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results. So it's like knowing that, you know, with Jesus Christ not even your foundation, then it's like, you know, we all human, so anything is acceptable. But if you know, at least seeking the Lord or after the Lord or filled with the Holy Ghost, then it's just like there's some things you just won't do or that you will be convicted by doing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That creates. So
that's interesting because that is another question on my list.
Oh, wow.
Do you feel you have to be equally yoked spiritually with your mate, or can you date someone from a different religion?
I think you can be
we've had this
spiritually
conversation
yoked
few times
with people from different religions. I think a relationship with God, or whatever we call him, is a relationship with God. I know, like my family and friends, I only have one that kind of feels the same way. They feel like, okay, Christians should date Christians, Muslims should date Muslims. I feel like if you have a relationship with God and he's our father, just like a father with children, when they first start saying dada or la or whatever that child perceives is the name for its father, The Father always answers. The Father doesn't say, I'm not going to answer you because you didn't call me by the right name. My name is Father. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that I honestly think that's created by people with understanding, like, no, his name is this and everybody should call him this, because they strongly believe that, because that's what they call him. So I think you can be equally yoked with someone who has a relationship with God and not a religion.
Absolutely. I just want to add to what she said. Like, I completely agree. I just think for me, though, like, because I was like, I don't know, I just have so many different experiences, so many different type of people. Like, I've studied, like, Islam and, Buddhism, and before, I even met the Lord. But for me, it's like, and I've have friends who are some of them, practice Kabbalah and stuff. So it's just like, I don't really, I think religion is man-made. I think it's a form of control. There's one creator, it's God. I call him Elohim and different names, Yahweh. But for me, I feel like whoever my husband is, he just has to know Jesus Christ, period. And it's not for me to teach you. I can't teach you the Lord. I can't teach, like, you. God has to reveal himself to us, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I think I've seen women, family members, friends, whatever, get with, guys and try to change. Like, people don't really change. The Lord changes us and so forth. So it's just like, ain't no way we finna change this man. That's a grown man. You feel me?
So let me ask you guys this. Why is romance so important when you have a man that is willing to provide? That is a question.
Because money isn't everything. It's not much at all. It's money.
So another question is, would you rather him spend money on you or spend time with you?
Both. Thank you.
I concur.
Both. And I think he would enjoy it too.
If you guys are just tuning in, you are listening to the Diva MD Show with Dr. Shanika Williams, and you are listening to the Divas Lounge, where we are in the battle of the sexes, where the women get to respond to the questions that men have asked. And boy, I tell you, this is some interesting conversation here right now. If you're interested in calling in, asking a question of your own, feel free to call at 312-754-4333. And also, if you're interested in following me on Facebook, you can follow me at divamd.discoveryourself and divamd929 on Twitter and Instagram. So, ladies, some interesting questions. Let me ask you guys, how would you handle rumors being spread about your man or your relationship?
Oh, rumors.
Look at all these rumors.
Oh my gosh. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I mean, who's the messenger? First of all,
right.
Let's start there. Who's the messenger? I mean, and is it a rumor? So I think, information is information, and you have to be the judge of how you're going to assimilate that information, and whether or not you're going to react on it. That's in any situation. And I don't think that, a person should just react to everything that they hear. I think that, you should observe, you should investigate, you should, sit still for a while.
So you all snoopers?
I have snooped. I've snooped.
I think we've all been guilty of
I've snooped. Not lately, but in my younger days, I did some snooping.
Here's my position.
And I found what I was looking for.
If there's nothing to
You
hide,
always, but you know what you always do.
Check that.
I think,
but
I think you always do
though. Is there? Well, that's what they say. If you look for something, you're always going to find it.
Exactly.
But the long and short of it is, see, this day and age, I don't like the idea that, okay, this is my cell phone, that's your cell phone, but we live together, and don't look at my phone, I don't look at your phone. But back in the day, it's a house. If the phone rings, answer the phone. And I'm not saying that I should answer your phone or you should answer my phone. But the long and short of it is, don't be in a relationship. Don't be that person in a relationship that says, you can't touch my phone, you can't see my phone. That kind of pettiness. And I'm just saying this, I'm relating this to a phone, but obviously this covers more than just a phone. But yet, if you get sick, you want me to care for you. When you get older, if, Lord forbid, you need your diaper changed, I'm supposed to be that nurse. I'm supposed to be there for you. I'm supposed to change the rashes, flip you over, do all this stuff, be there for you through surgery, through thick, through thin, through employment, unemployment, whatever goes on. But whatever you do, don't touch that phone. I'm not with that.
Let's not forget, you want.
I don't do that.
You want to sleep with me, but I can't check your phone.
And my position is too. It has to be. Yeah, you can. Hey, I mean, this is an open platform. There's no reason that if something's wrong with you, you guys could be stranded in the desert. Your phone dies. You need to make an emergency call, and these guys don't want you to touch that phone.
All locked and triple locked.
It's a problem with that. Like, what's wrong with your phone? Well, use the sun. You can't get some rays from the sun to power up the batteries. No.
But taking it back to what Dr. Williams was saying before. About women staying in certain relationships and accepting certain things, you have to think about what they think, what a woman, or if it's a man, or what one person thinks about themselves, what value they have upon themselves, they place upon themselves, enter into a relationship where they would stay with someone that A, you think there's a reason, B, you can't directly come to that person and trust what they say, so you have to go and go a roundabout way and try to find things out yourselves. There's communication missing, and what value are you putting on yourself where you're sleeping with somebody, living with somebody, doing the most? And they have set boundaries on how close you can come to them in what is outside the bedroom sense. Outside the bedroom, we're here are the limitations, but I want to be intimate with you. No, thank you.
Yeah. So what can turn you off about a man's initial approach?
All those pet names. Cut it out.
Like what?
I mean, we haven't made it there. Like, can we get past dinner, a movie?
No, I'm talking about when they first try and talk to you. Like,
pet names.
With the boo, hey boo,
baby, sweetheart,
hey shorty red,
or hey come here. I don't even like when
what
you
is
say
come here.
Right.
Is that a word?
Right.
Let me holler at you. Let me holler at you.
Hey girl.
Oh, and I'll tell you what a deal breaker is.
We listening?
Not opening the car door.
Oh,
I'm sorry. For me, in my house, we will open the car doors.
I'm so mad at you right now.
You know what?
I know exactly.
I'm sorry. I don't understand that. And don't worry. I'll what's the movie? Bronx Tale. I'll lean over and pop the lock for you too. Don't worry.
But after he's opened the car door.
Exactly. Let me in the car.
Prioritize.
So chivalry needs to be alive and well.
I think it should be defined, redefined, posted, Instagram, Facebook, Google Plus. It needs to be celebrated again.
Tweet that.
I know. It needs some major surgery and reconstruction, I'm telling you.
Trivial question. Do women really look at men's shoe size?
Yes, I do.
What does it mean?
I just want to know. I want to have comparables,
I don't want to. I'm sorry. I don't want to be able to fit your shoes.
Is that true though? Is that a truth?
I have big feet.
I think she was talking about if you look at a guy's shoe size and do you compare it to other parts of his body.
I know.
I can't deal. I cannot deal. I don't want to fit. Look, if anything, the little feet people don't want to fit the shoe size. Not the big feet people. I'm confused.
I'm a woman.
Right. I get what you mean.
Come on.
Okay.
All right. Still a woman's, even a size 10 is still a man's size 8.
In the last few yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't take it. In the last minute, we literally have a minute. Give just quickly, what advice would you give a man trying to find a good woman? Very quickly.
A relationship is a contract, and any relationship is a contract. So men and women enter into these contracts on terms that you can accept.
Loyalty is royalty.
Play your positions.
Boom. Y'all heard it right here on the Diva MD Show. These ladies come and they speak the truth. That's why I love them. Yes. My ladies own it. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. The Diva MD Show will be back every Friday night, 8 to 9 p.m. I do hope you join us. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers. Make sure you don't miss it because every week is something good. So talk to you guys next week, guys. I'm out.